Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, uh, yeah. Yeah, it's your boy E-Man. Falcons Fandemic, we on that plan. All the hype in the city, let me break it down. Atlanta Falcons, wear the crown. Cruising down Peachtree in my Falcons gear. Pockets on the speakers, E-Man's here. Covering the news, all the buzz on the block. Fandemic family, yeah, we can't be stopped, yeah.
That's right. You heard it right there. We can't be stopped. We are the Atlanta Falcons. What's up, my Falcon family, my Dirty Bird Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Atlanta Falcon Fandemic, a show built for the fans, by the fans. You know, as Atlanta Falcons, we're in the midweek of the bye, but any news out of Valerie Branch has been anything but quiet. You know, as the 2025 trade deadline nears, all talk is about what Atlanta could gain, if anything, from the possible trades that surrounds the NFL. You know, as the trade deadline nears closer, there are some key players that Atlanta should really consider. You know, as you know, my last video, I suggested that the Atlanta could benefit from adding the frustrated wide receiver Jacoby Myers from the Raiders. What's admirable is the guy is still playing and playing well, I might add, although he's wanting out of Las Vegas. So is he? Yes, he's frustrated, but he knows he still has to perform. So, but as we all know, money talk. You know, from what we saw over in Cleveland with Myles Garrett was unhappy himself until that money got put on the table. Then all of a sudden he was not upset or frustrated anymore. But anyway, this video is touching on an area of concern in my book, right? And that's the CB2 spot opposite AJ Terrell. As everyone knows, Michael Hughes and D. Alford has pretty much taken over those two spots, and kind of suspect to say the least, right? But the Falcons entered their much-needed bye week. The rest up. Right now we're at 2-2, firmly entrenched in the mix for the NFC crown. Well, I mean, we're stuck right in the middle, in between Tampa Bay and the Saints and the Panthers. We're stuck right there in the middle. So one loss, one win can be shift our place like dramatically. So, but a shadow looms over the team's strong start, right? A defensive secondary that has devolved from shaky, glaring, season-threatening weakness, if that make any sense. And I say that because we saw flashes of what the secondary can do without AJ Terrell, and we also saw the weak spots without AJ Terrell, right? But through the first month of the season, Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot have built a talented, competitive roster with the team's cornerstone, AJ Terrell, still sidelined with the hamstring injury. But the holes in the defensive backfield are more visible now than ever. We saw last season where the combination of Mike Hughes and D. Alford wasn't quite quite good enough to hold down that CB2 spot. Now, there aren't any teams in the NFL that has two shutdown corners, but you still have to put up a good show if you want to contend in the playoffs or win games at the least. You know, we as Falcon fans, we've had this concern coming out of the season. And we were wondering who would be that one corner that will rise up and claim that CB2 spot opposite AJ Terrell. So Mike Hughes won the spot, right? But we saw what happened last season. The Falcons secondary was one of the worst in the league, but now it might be their only hope for the playoff berth. We break down the massive turnaround led by rookie stars and analyze if this elite unit can single-handedly overcome the team's other critical weaknesses. So the warning signs are there. I mean, it's blaring. The evidence became more evident in week 4. The numbers tell a tale of vulnerability. Atlanta's pass defense has surrendered 250-plus yards through the air in 2 of the 4 games, with opponents covering 42% of third downs, a mark that ranks 22 league-wide. Glimpses of that last season's late collapse linger when the secondary crumbled in the crunch time, allowing 44 points to Carolina in a playoff clinching defeat. This year, those same similar ghosts appeared in the week 1 loss to Tampa Bay, where Baker Mayfield diced up the corners for 280 yards and 2 scores, exploiting the zone coverages that left Micah Hughes and D. Offer a step slow, even in brighter moments like the shutout against good gracious against the shutout against Minnesota, right? But the secondary has leaked big plays, and those big plays average 14.2 yards per completion, a stat that screams complete coverage breakdown. Veteran corner D. Alford struggled against Washington. He surrendered 4 receptions on 5 targets, drawing 2 costly penalties, and finishing the game with an abysmal 29.3 PFF grade. This isn't an isolated incident. It's a symptom of a larger problem. Atlanta simply lacks a steady, reliable presence opposite A.J. Terrell. But it's not all doom. New additions like veteran safety Jordan Fuller, he signed to anchor the back, and rookies Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman have added depth, with Fuller already logging 22 tackles and a forced fumble. But the group's Jekyll and Hyde act in week 2 versus in week 3 underscores a deeper issue. The Falcons' Jekyll and Hyde dynamic feast or famine coverage stems from over-reliance on man press without disguises. Film sessions in this week should cover 3 match principles, emphasizing underneath coverage to cut off those intermediate routes that burned Atlanta against Washington. And in these areas, it also demands what's the word I'm looking for? A great performance. Let's put it like that. If the offense dictates the pace with, Bijan Robinson and Drake London, the secondary gets more rest and fewer snaps. And right now, we're averaging 68 snaps per game, which is the highest in the NFC South. While the defense has been solid overall, ranking number 2 in the NFL in passing yards allowed per game, which highlights how well the front 7 and the safety play have masked the outside corner struggles. The vulnerability of the outside corners is a disaster waiting to happen against an elite passer. We're coming up on an elite passer in week coming Monday night against Josh Allen. He's that elite guy. He's the reigning league MVP. Starter and veteran cornerback Mike Hughes has battled inconsistency since last season. Not all bad. Not an all-out bad job, but just not consistent enough. While the team has intriguing young pieces in rookies Billy Bowman, Xavier Watts, they are developing slow, but they are expected to make rookie mistakes. Question is, can they be fully relied upon for a full 18-game season and the playoff push? So what would be the blueprint coming into this to address this secondary? The bye week presents a crucial moment for the front office. With Terrell facing a hamstring injury designated as week to week, the team must confront a difficult choice. We either trust the youth movement to grow through their mistakes, or we get aggressive and go shopping for an immediate upgrade. The Falcons' margin for error in NFC South is slim. The slightest mistake, and Tampa Bay pulls away. The slightest mistake, and just like that, the Carolina Panthers and New Orleans Saints fights their way back into contention. I mean, it's like everybody says, any given Sunday can happen. Nobody looked for the Saints to be in contention for anything this season. But nobody saw the Saints pulling out that win last week either, right? So the matchup against the Buffalo Bills that's coming is going to be crucial. It's going to be critical. The defensive backfield must be shored up before the NFL trade deadline. The Atlanta Falcons went from a defensive liability to a legit threat in just one offseason. While other teams focuses on offense, the Falcons quietly built a defensive powerhouse that could shock the NFL. And speaking of powerhouse, if I read that correctly, the Atlanta Falcons are #1 in defense so far. When was the last time that happened? Drop that in the comment. I think it was 2016 or 15, something like that. Y'all remind me when that was. I don't remember the last time the Atlanta Falcons was ranked #1, even for 1 week. But I mean, if you guys can remember, I know we did it before. I just can't remember what year. So drop that in the comment for me. But we're going to go on and explore if this newfound defensive identity is the secret formula to overcome a weak pass rush and steal a spot in the postseason. I think we can do it with this pass rush that we have, but the pass rush has to increase if we are to, camouflage how weak we are at that CB2 spot. I have every full confidence that AJ Terrell will be able to come back, whether or not that be to full potential or to at 75%, 80%. I mean, I take that. But, you want to save a player, too. You want to save a player even against himself. And also, you don't want to risk the opportunity of re-injuring a somewhat, I'm not going to say, a somewhat healed injury, right? So you don't want to risk that, especially when you are considering yourself to be considered to be in the playoff hunt. So what would be that secret formula, right? But here are 5 potential cornerback targets who could instantly elevate the Falcons secondary, and the Falcons should really look at it, right? I'm going to share it with you guys, and I want you guys to take a look at it with me, right? The #1, and this is not going in any order whatsoever, right? These are just 5 guys that I think that could come in and could possibly do a better job than Michael Hughes and D. Alford. And I'm not taking nothing from D. Alford and Michael Hughes. They've given it their all, and you can see it, right? But like I said in my last video, guys, this is a business, right? And if you can't perform, I mean, you have to look for the next man up, look for the next guy up. I would love to be able to say we can go into the practice squad and bring up Kobe Bryant, right? I honestly think the guy can actually fill the void. I don't know why he didn't make the 53-man roster or is not given a legit chance. But if we are to go outside and look for trades, that one that's not going to cost us a whole lot of money or hamper us when it comes to draft picks, any trade that we can get without having to give up a lot, I think we ought to go ahead and do it. But #1 is Denzel Ward. He's right now with the Cleveland Browns. And believe it or not, guys, the Cleveland Browns defense is out of sight. I mean, they actually surprised me. But Denzel Ward is a 2-time Pro Bowler with bona fide shutdown ability. A trade for Ward would be expensive due to his contract and importance to Cleveland. But he would instantly give Atlanta one of the NFL's best secondaries. So with the way Cleveland is playing now, and it's kind of like the only thing that Cleveland does have going for them, I don't see Cleveland even entertaining, but because of him approaching his free agency year, I think Denzel Ward will probably maybe look at coming out of Cleveland. The problem is I don't think Cleveland would actually would give him up. But his contract, like I said, is an expensive one, right? Next, we have L'Jarius Sneed from the Titans. After his breakout in Kansas City, Sneed is now with a struggling Titans team. If Titans opts to sell off veteran assets, Sneed's physical, aggressive style will be perfect fit for Morris's scheme. I think the only way the Titans comes off of L'Jarius is if they acquire some draft picks. They are kind of like in a rebuild mode. The Titans need an offensive line real bad for Cam Ward, and I think that the only way that they come off of Sneed is if they're able to get offensive linemen or draft picks so they can go ahead and rebuild their offensive line. The next player is Cam Taylor-Britt from the Bengals. He's a full-time starter since 2022 who consistently logs high defensive snap counts. With his contract status, potentially forcing a decision in Cincinnati. The Falcons could swoop in and acquire a tough, reliable cornerback with proven starting experience. I haven't seen a whole lot of Cam Taylor-Britt, to be honest with you. I can't give her like a real accurate or somewhat accurate, for that matter, on whether or not this will be a good move for Atlanta. But these 5 guys are ones that could potentially seek to move on to another team. And if we were to move on to another cornerback, I would rather have one that has already starting experience, right? And the defensive Cincinnati's defense is not all that bad, right? Their offense is hit or miss, but their defense is kind of solid. They're able to hold their own. Their corners can hold their own. But like I said, I haven't seen a whole lot of Cam Taylor. I just can't give like a real honest assessment on him. But he does have starting experience, and just looking at the defense as a whole, I think he's a good fit. But it won't cost us a lot, on the financial aspect of it. Alternate Taylor from the Saints. I don't see the Saints actually giving up on him. The Saints are rebuilding. Their defense is like their strong point right now. But they are a division rival who has shown toughness and versatility. With the New Orleans Saints potentially shifting defensive personnel, he could be pried away for the right price. But like I said, I don't see that happening with with their defense being rebuilt as we speak. And you don't want to give up important pieces, especially ones that work for you. But his physical style aligns perfectly with the Falcons' defensive philosophy. But like I said, they're a division rival, and I don't see a lot of times you don't see a division rival helping out an opposing team, right? But Anthony Taylor is a notable cornerback. He can play that position. He's solid, very solid. He don't give up a whole lot of big plays. But like I said, I don't think that the Saints, who's rebuilding their defense, rebuilding their team, is going to be willing to come off of Taylor. But his contract calls for him being a free agent, so he might be available. All depends on how the Saints look at it. Eric Stokes from the Raiders. He's a former first-round pick with speed and length, playing on a low-cost 1-year deal. He represents a low-risk, high-upside rental who could thrive in a change of scenery and add crucial depth. And I see Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes is a very nice addition. He played with our very own Divine, but I mean they played well together. But I don't know how long they played together. But like I said, he come cheap, 1-year deal. If it works out, we move on. We still have Kobe Bryant that we can still work with. We still have Billy Bowman and Xavier Watts that are surely to increase with experience and grow. So Eric Stokes won't cost us a lot for a very good player, a solid player. Let's put it like that. And like I just said, low risk, high upside rental. So Eric Stokes is a very good fit for us. And like I said, Divine and Stokes back together on the same team, they just might be elated to play together. But every one of these corners, from the high cost Ward to the rental upside of Stokes, represents a clear and necessary upgrade over the current depth chart. But looking ahead and emerging from this bye week, the Falcons aren't just reloading, right? They're redefining. A fortified secondary could bolt this defense from top 10 flashes to sustain contention, pairing seamlessly with Penix's arm to end in the 8-year playoff drought. But the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking, and the league reigning MVP Josh Allen awaits next week for Monday night. The Falcons have a top-tier offense, a solid front seven, and a legitimate playoff aspiration. But unless Fontenot and Morris address the alarming fragility of the secondary, our very own Dirty Bird risks watching the season's hopes fall apart, one costly coverage bust at a time. The bye week is almost over, rather, and it's time for a definitive move. Like I said, Josh Allen awaits, and Josh Allen will surely surely I bet my next paycheck on it. I'll bet my next YouTube deposit that Josh Allen is going to test D. Alford and Michael Hughes consistently. So we have to make a move to either we're going to have to the defense, or we're going to have to disguise it, or we're going to have to make a move to acquire one of these players that I think would benefit us, giving us the experience, the upside. And but it's going to be up to Raheem Morris and Terry Fronto to realize that. I know the cap room has become evident, but it's all going to be about how what we're going to have to give up to acquire a new cornerback, a nice cornerback. But at some point, we're going to have to address this secondary, especially as the season goes along, because Michael Hughes and D. Alford, they're going to get tested. They're going to get exposed. And once teams learn that they can do that, guys, it's all downhill from there. Whether or not, like I said, Jeff Ulbrich, as a creative mind as he is, he's going to have to start disguising these defenses to cover up where we lack with D. Alford and Michael Hughes. But guys, that's my thought on this on the trade thoughts for the CB2 spot. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you disagree? Tell me if you guys think of anybody else that could benefit, that we could go get and not cost us an arm and a leg, right? And that's what it's all about, right? Giving us that upside without costing us a whole lot of money, that low risk, high upside, right? Even if it's just not for 1 year, right? It'll benefit us. But if you guys can think of anybody else, drop the name down in the comment. Let me know if you can agree, that you would think about agreeing on any of these 5 that I just pointed out. But as always, guys, I appreciate you guys joining me. I thank you ever so much for the support. And stay tuned for the next video too, because I really want to dive more into the potential trades that we have. I want to comment and do a video on the Kirk Cousins situation as well. So stay tuned. And as always, guys, continue to rise up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your boy E-Man. Falcons Fandemic, we on that plan. All the hype in the city, let me break it down. Atlanta Falcons, wear the crown.